It's time to pass around the collection plate. Georgia Tech needs a new quarterback.
You are Locked On Georgia Tech, your daily podcast on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Georgia Tech. I am one of your hosts, Caleb Johnson. I'm not smart enough to get into Georgia Tech, but plenty smart enough to talk Georgia Tech sports. Taking this daily journey with me, covering the Yellow Jackets, is my co-host, Jarvis Davis, who's been covering Atlanta sports for the last 15 years. We want to start off by saying thank you for making Locked On Georgia Tech your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. We're free and available wherever you download your podcast, and wherever you go to download them, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Today on the show, we'll get into, hey, can Chris Weinke be the stabilizer on this Georgia Tech offense? Is the offensive coordinator hire even more important based on what's happened? Because first, we got to get right into it, Jarvis. We talked about it on our last show. The potential, the possibility, the likelihood that Aaron Philo would follow his offensive coordinator, Buster Faulkner, over to Florida. We debated whether it would happen. I even mentioned, hey, maybe the loyalty to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket squad, to the school, to the city of Atlanta would be enough to keep this man. Nah, just wasn't good enough, Jarvis. And now Aaron Philo is on to the University of Florida. So is the pressure now on Brent Key to go, as they say, get a high dollar quarterback out of the transfer portal?
More than likely, right? I mean, because here's the thing, man. Like the beauty of Aaron Philo, I know a lot of people don't want to admit to this. I mean, the kid got talent, obviously, and two, he had been in the system, understands what Buster Faulkner is trying to do, as a play caller. So, obviously. And then when Buster decides to leave, that just messes up the whole plan, right? The whole future of what you're trying to do on offense, that kind of goes out the window, literally. So I think now I'm kind of torn on this one too, Caleb, because, for me, I like the idea of building up a guy, bringing in a guy that you feel can be that guy to kind of go, to grow with, and to whoever this OC you're gonna hire and bring in, and kind of go that route. But on the other end, nobody got time to rebuild in today's game, right? I think people have come to the conclusion that Miami is going to be in the portal every year buying a quarterback. That's just how it works. They're not trying to develop no high school guys, or LSU, especially with Lane Kiffin as your head coach. He's going to be going into the portal every year, because there ain't no guarantee he's going to finish out the spring. His dream job is right around the corner. You know what I mean? So for me, I look at it from a standpoint of my initial answer is to say, yes, you at least have a conversation with some guys that you like, right? There are a lot of guys, there are a lot of names in the portal, and there are some guys that, you probably want to kick the tires on, that might not have as much attention being drawn to them at this point, because all the high dollar guys are having those conversations right now. But part of me wants to say, man, you know what? If you really like this Graham Knowles guy, and you really like this Cole Bergeron guy, let those guys go at it in the spring and figure it out and let them win it. And you can take some of that money that you probably going to spend on a high dollar guy. wow, where I'm going on this one, Caleb. Take some of that money and go ahead and get some pressure players,
right,
on the interior of your defensive line to
yeah.
pair off with those young guys on the edge. Like you smell me on that one?
Yeah, I was about to say, for the people who don't know, like Jarvis is always going to be looking at those lines of scrimmage like, how can we improve? Everyone loves the quarterback. Everyone loves the wide receivers, the running back. I think it was Colin Cowherd back in the day that used to call, the skill positions, the frosting. Like, you need the cake. The core of the cake is the actual cake itself. The frosting is
the
nice.
dough, the batter, man. It's all about the batter, baby.
Yeah, like that is where you're going to get the base of your team, and that's where you're going to make the biggest impact. And so I'm with you. I think, is there pressure for Brent Key to get a big-time transfer quarterback? Yes, I think there is, because I think Georgia Tech fans have seen what's happened with Haynes King and are like, hey, we want to continue this success. Now, a lot of people forget who Haynes King was when he came over to Georgia Tech. He was a project, essentially, that Chris Weinke, the Buster Faulkner, the Brent Key, for that matter, had to mold into the guy that we saw, get, I think, robbed, should have been higher up in those Heisman conversations and rankings when the votes actually all came out, but was certainly, there was, you needed to have brought in someone else, and that's who Haynes King was, versus looking at your roster and going, yeah, Graham is here and he has been around the program, and that's important to have. I think it's important for them to make sure they're able to get one of these quarterbacks to stay and continue to be a part of this program. And then you've got the excitement of the 4-star and Cole Bergeron, and you're like, man, 6'4", 210. You kind of already have the frame. You just don't have the experience yet. Maybe we can coach you up and get you the experience as we go along. Yet, when you look at the transfer portal, we talked about like some of the big names that are up towards the top of the portal, the irony that it would be if you went after DJ Lagway, I think would be interesting. Certainly depending on who you're
interesting to talk about on this pod. Yes.
Yeah, it would give us plenty of content to have.
No doubt.
You mentioned Sorsby on our last show. I talked about Dylan Raiola, whether he would be an option. I would throw one more into the mix, Jarvis.
Who you got?
Just to consider.
Okay.
Simply from the perspective of not necessarily a Haynes King, where kind of a project that you need to change out some parts and do a little TLC on. This guy is more of a closer to a finished product, just has been playing on a lower level, and I would kind of be interested to see if his playing style, if Brent Key wanted to stick with what Buster Faulkner has done in the past with Haynes King, would you look over to the state of Alabama, go over to Alabama State and see Andrew Body? Is he the kind of guy that you would want to look at in the transfer portal? Just simply because throws the ball extremely well, 20 touchdowns, 1 interception this past season, playing for Alabama State, and then also ran the ball for a little over 500 yards, and I think he had like 4 touchdowns. So it's one of those, the dual threat guy that still has the arm talent, but is coming from the SWAC with Alabama State, coming over to Georgia State. To Georgia Tech. I feel like it wouldn't be a difficult sell on the city of Atlanta to get Andrew here.
Nope.
I would just be curious if that is, potentially something on the table that maybe isn't big bucks, but you'd still have to spend some money. Just because I think, Jarvis, the thing for me is I want some experience in this quarterback room that, you would assume that Chris Weinke is going to be working with.
Yeah, man. You kind of caught me off guard with that, but I like it.
Okay.
Like, sign me up. I like that. I like that idea because here's the thing. HBCUs ain't really got no money like that. You throw $200K at this man, and I promise you be on the first thing smoking to Atlanta from the Montgomery, man. Look, and here's the thing, and I'm with you, man. I'm totally with you. When you talk about having experience in that room, guy who's played on the college, now granted, it's FCS.
Yeah,
it's different. It's still football. It's cover 3 is cover 3 on FCS versus the FBS. Cover 4 is cover 4. The same thing. Can you read that safety with pre-snap? That's the same concept. It is not too much different, based off on what level you playing on. It's just from a talent perspective, right? So I look at it from this standpoint, man. I love bringing a guy with some experience in there, because if you're talking about a homegrown guy and you got a guy that's a veteran that can come in and compete for you, especially if you can get him in here in the springtime, be one of those mid-year guys and say, hey, are you gonna be able to get here in the spring and be able to enroll early? If the answer is yes, like, hey man, come on, we coming out and we'll throw you a couple $100,000, gonna get you right, so you can get on in here and do what you need to do. So I like how you're thinking when it comes to just having a guy that is a veteran, has played on the college level, has success, and he's looking to upgrade, because it's nothing like a kid that feels like and plays like he got something to prove.
Yeah, the other part of this when it comes to the Aaron Philo departure is I think there's a lot of wonder about how big of a distraction. Like we talked about on our last show, hey, when it comes to the coaching element, all of this, I mean, is there anybody that's going to still be around and available to continue coaching for the Yellow Jackets because of how many guys had left? And then seeing a quarterback who was potentially going to be your starter could be looked at as a distraction. Brent Key, when he spoke to the media, said he does not consider it a distraction at all. He said guys get other opportunities and they got to do what's best for them and their families. It's no different than players and coaches. We as adults, we're no different than the players and the adults. Everybody's looking for the best opportunity for them, and they got to do what's best for them and their families. So I thought, kind of doesn't surprise me really that Brent Key would feel this way. He feels like he's the type of person who deals with the reality. There's no there's no secrets. It seems like it's all airing it out in the open, dealing with the reality. However, Jarvis, there is a reality that we've got to talk about next, which is, does the offensive coordinator hire become even more important now? NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. Hey, maybe a receiver is getting hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly. You've got player props that update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every single possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Maybe you're taking a look at what's coming up for the Falcons. They got the Cardinals on Sunday. Maybe you want to get in on that action and hoping that what Kirk Cousins is going to bring is going to be better than Kyler Murray and what Arizona's got. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you with FanDuel. We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Georgia Tech your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level. Let's go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Georgia Tech with no interruptions, a members-only Discord access, and there's some really good stuff in there right now. All of this is $5 a month or $50 a year. go to lockedongeorgiatech.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Jarvis, with Aaron Philo walking out the door, you've got to figure out your quarterback situation. You've got to make sure that the rest of this offense, who is still a part of this team, isn't feeling a little antsy and feeling a little like, hey, maybe I need to go in the portal as well. So do you feel like this upcoming offensive coordinator hire has become even more important?
It's gargantuan, Caleb. It is, if you think about a small chip, people talk about having a chip on his shoulder. Man, Brent Key has a doggone grand piano on his shoulder right now, and he has to get that bad boy off his back by finding the offensive coordinator that's going to fit what he's trying to do, so they can start to have those conversations. We talked about the high dollar portal guy. If you want a high dollar portal guy, you cannot have an offensive coordinator. It just doesn't work like that. I know what you bring to the table, Coach Key. I heard, I talked to some people that probably, that play with you, from a quarterback's perspective. But I need to know what scheme you're running. Like, are you going to run the same offense similar to what Buster Faulkner did, or is the guy that's going, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, the guy who's going to be calling plays for you, is he going to be the guy? Are you going to go in-house? So I think that when you think about moving forward and moving on from Buster Faulkner and Aaron Philo, you have to have a guy that's going to be in that seat permanently. And until you get that guy in here, I feel like there's nothing you can really do from filling out this staff, because true enough, you got your offensive line coach, right? You got him in place in Mogridge. But you can't really figure out what that quarterback situation is going to look like. Not only from getting a high dollar portal guy, you want to be able to keep the guy that you have on your roster, because like we've mentioned, Knowles. All right, cool, yeah, he can be a guy that might want to jump in the portal too and see what's out there,
right?
And then Cole Bergeron, he's the freshman. You don't want to be sitting with him. The only guy that you feel has enough talent to be a guy to come in that can play for you. You don't want that to be your only option. So yeah, right now it is super, super important that, even more so now that you understand that Philo is out the door as well, you gotta get your OC situated, because that's the only way you're gonna be comfortable going into January 2nd. And when that portal officially opens up, because people are jumping in the portal and it's not open yet. It's just a little weird. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the classic guys agreeing to contracts in the NFL before technically the period is supposed to, to be allowed. Now, I don't know. I mean, in the NFL, the Falcons learned real quick that they could take away draft picks. I don't know what they would do in college if there is tampering.
There's no such thing as tampering.
Well, that's kind of it.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. We had one of our commenters on asked, like, hey, the portal is open to January 2nd. So how is it if people are announcing that they're going into the portal? I was like, one, there's no such thing as tampering, and two, these agents can't keep their mouth shut. So, so hey, man, this is just the world that we live in. It's the wild, wild west until the NCAA gets up out there behind and hire some more people, because they got like 3 people that work in the NCAA office. You know what I'm saying?
I think they're just cashing checks, but I don't think they actually do any work.
No, so man, they fat and happy, baby. They sit back collecting checks. They like Bobby Bonilla on July the 1st every year, man. Like, give me my money. That's it, man. So until the NCAA does something, this is how it's going to be, and you got to figure out a way how to maneuver. So, this is just college football and the way it is. I know it's hard to like, it's hard to get behind how things are, but it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, I think the big reason why this offensive coordinator hire has become even more important is because the things that you thought you could go into the offseason being able to depend on offensively, almost all of those things are up in the air right now. I mean,
Sure.
there's quite literally, Jarvis, it feels like no player is 100% assured that they are returning and going to be a part of this squad in 2026. And so if you're having to go to the portal and completely rebuild your offense, that just creates more uncertainty. And the longer it takes for that guy to be in place, the more some of these guys are going to be sitting around the house talking to their parents, talking to the girlfriend, talking to, Uncle Joe out here who's like, oh, I saw over on this message board that, so and so is doing this. And so maybe, you don't want to be left holding the bag. And so I feel like when the uncertainty exists because no one is in the position and you don't know what type of offense you're going to be running, and you don't know what players you're going to need for that offense to work out, it leads to chaos, just straight up chaos that isn't going to be subdued until they bring somebody in. And I think also just from like a media perspective, of course, like that's not the most important thing, but Jarvis, like you don't want to find yourself as Brent Key in the media at a bowl game where it's all supposed to be, hey, this is fun, a great opportunity for these guys to play their last game, and you're having to answer all these super serious questions that kind of question the future of what this program can do.
Yeah, you don't want that, and I think that, and to your point about waiting around and all that stuff to fill out your staff and fill out your roster, that can get expensive.
Yeah,
because the one thing that I know you got the money to go out there and spend, but you don't want to go out there and go broke. In that wave of trying to fill out your staff, trying to get in there and start having some conversations with players that's going to fit what you're trying to do going forward. And let's just say it's totally different from Buster Faulkner, what Buster Faulkner was trying to do, which I don't foresee that happening.
Sure.
But because you want to be able to keep the guys around that are still on this roster and flourished in that particular system. So all the while trying to guys who didn't necessarily produce like that, but you see some potential, Isaiah Canyon, you want to start to cater to them as well. So it's a lot of little things kind of like flying on the radar right now that I feel that can be easily addressed by just going in and solidifying who's going to be calling plays for you in 2026.
Well, when it comes to calling plays in the bowl game, we have finally gotten an answer. And is that same guy also going to be the stabilizer for this Georgia Tech offense? The holidays are here, and whether you're hosting family, planning the perfect gift, or just trying to keep things simple and delicious, Omaha Steaks is making it easier than ever. From effortless holiday entertaining to unforgettable gifts, Omaha Steaks delivered the world's best steak experience straight to your door. And what makes it even better? With Omaha Steaks, you always know exactly what you're gifting. USDA certified tender steaks, premium proteins, gourmet sides, and decadent desserts that make anyone feel appreciated. Look, I love how easy it is to gift this one, especially as someone who's received this in the past. It shows up frozen, it's packed beautifully, and it's ready to cook. Go throw it on your grill. Maybe you're cast iron skillet person. You want to go that option. The steaks are perfectly aged and insanely tender. It's restaurant level right at home. They have so many options. Save big on gourmet gifts and holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com, and for an extra $35 off, you use code COLLEGE at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Jarvis, after all this movement that's happened with coaches and players, we now know that Chris Weinke is going to be calling plays for the Yellow Jackets offense in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Has Weinke now become the stabilizer for this team and this offense?
Yeah. And I think that the one thing that these are the vibes that I get from Chris Weinke, just kind of looking at his career and where he's been and what he's been doing since he went into the coaching world. He seemed like one of those guys that is comfortable enough in his skin to do what he knows he likes to do best, and that is coach quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I like to coach quarterbacks. That's what I want to do. And I want to be the stabilizer when it comes to recruiting, because he is a quarterback guy. He was one of those quarterback guru type guys, like one of the first ones that was like, oh, yeah, he's working with Chris Weinke, blah, blah, blah. And then he started going into, from a training standpoint, and then eventually moved on into the coaching world. So I feel like he is the guy that Key knew all along he was going to call plays, because, let's just go straight to the assistant. He was the assistant OC with Faulkner being here, and he was assistant head coach. So, when you have those particular things going for you, those two things going for you, and being comfortable in who you are and knowing what you do really well, and that you're going to more likely going to stick around, because guys like Key want guys like Weinke around. I think, he's definitely the stabilizing force with all this movement and rumors and all this stuff flying around right now.
Yeah, I think if you're Brent Key, like, when coaches are going to leave, you need to be able to keep someone around who you trust and still has a vision of the identity that you want to be building. And so with so many different guys, kind of dropping out, and like Coach Brock being, the tight ends coach, being one of the few outside of Weinke that sticks around for Chris, he is an experienced guy. He is able to go and dive into his own career to be able to relate to players. Now, certainly he was not playing at a time of NIL and the transfer portal and all those sorts of things. But as far as the on the field elements, those are certainly, and just kind of the like national attention that can come, when you're a Heisman Trophy winner. Like there's a lot of experience there that Chris Weinke has. And I think it makes a lot of sense that he has been the one who has stuck around and kind of can calm everything down. And if there is someone who is looking to transfer in, knowing that they would be working with Chris Weinke can obviously be a pretty big upside. I mean, you saw former Georgia Tech quarterback Zach Pyron taking to social media to stick up for Weinke as a guy that, hey, this is someone you can trust, and this is someone who can handle the opportunity that he's been given. Is calling plays in the Pop-Tarts Bowl like the biggest deal ever? No. But it is a responsibility, and it could be potentially a relationship building time as this team prepares for a bowl game, missing, very likely quite a few different coaches. This gives an opportunity for more bonding with Weinke and players that could help further on down the line when they do eventually hire an offensive coordinator. And he's able to fall back on the experiences that Weinke has of being at Georgia Tech.